Bare necessity, but simple bare necessity. Bare necessity, but simple bare necessity.
Hey there, it's Bree Bear and welcome to today's video. This one is rating the highest rated romance on my TBR. I feel like I can actually go through my shelves and find the actual one that I own physically. So I think I'm going to try that as well. But I am going to check on my Goodreads and see for that. So I'm gonna look at my want to read books and also my physical shelf and decide which one of those two suits me at the moment. Does Heartstopper Volume 1 count as a romance book? I feel like technically it could. Oh, and then we have Evelyn Hugo, but I'm gonna do a separate video for that. Oh, Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren. Makes sense that it would be a Christina. I just have one Christina Lauren listed, although I'm interested in all of them. So maybe I would go and find like the highest rated of Christina Lauren books and do that one. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go pull the books that I think are romance from my shelf and also search through those and see what is the highest rated. And I also excluded books that I already am planning on doing a video for. Beach Read by Emily Henry. I think I'm gonna ask what everybody thinks in the chat. Okay, so they voted for me to, I gave them the option of voting if I should get a book from my wish list or get the highest rated from my wish list or read the highest rated of what I already own, and they voted what I already owned. So as of right now, that is Beach Read, but I'll check back in when I start reading. I have finally started Beach Read. I'm literally on page 5 and I'm already really captivated. I didn't realize that our main character was going to be dealing with some family issues. I'm looking forward to kind of seeing how that plays out. So I'm intrigued by the fact that it's got like some depth to it, which I had just watched Reagan's video about the book. She read it during a vlog, and I just watched her vlog where she read it. And she talked about how she had heard that it had like some emotional stuff in it as well, which I was not aware of before I picked it up. I had not heard anybody mention that. So I'm glad that I heard that before going into it. So I'm working on trying to get back on track with my reading life, and so I was like, okay, I'm gonna read to page 50 and then I'm gonna get up and do some stuff, and then I'm gonna read another 50 pages and then I'm gonna get up and do some stuff. I literally get to page 50 and what happens? Plot twist. A person that has recently, made a huge impact on her life has shown up on page. I was not expecting that. I wasn't expecting this person to be involved in the story any further for a while. I wasn't expecting her to be a presence throughout the book. For me, in my situation, I also had this presence. This person was present in my life in a way that was more on page than off page. When I experienced kind of, having a person in a similar position in my life. I'm trying to say this without spoilers. So for me, I very much appreciate that. I'm enjoying it. Over 100 pages in, I will be further before I fall asleep. I feel like part of the thing for me is the whole setup of them like going on these like adventures to like show the other person how to write in their style is cute, but also not, like the whole premise feels, I don't know. I love it as a concept, but I just feel like I need a little bit more convincing to feel like it's something realistic. Like I feel like I have to suspend a little bit of disbelief that they would just start going to interviews and take each other on like trips and adventures to like teach them how they write their genre. Like, I don't know, something about it doesn't feel like 100% legit. The way that it's presented, I feel like maybe if there was a little bit more lead up to it, like explaining the why they needed to do that, because like I get it, I get how that would be helpful, but like I feel like maybe if there was like a period of like struggling to get started before they decided to do that, it would feel more logical to me. One thing that I am wondering if it's going to be discussed is like the idea of literary fiction as a genre and why that's a pretty dumb categorization for books. We talked about this in, I want to say, I can't remember. We talked about it in one of our live shows. We are also kind of given this idea that they're kind of rivals, but she's been into him basically this whole time, which I also really enjoy, because a lot of times when you have like a, you know, enemies to lovers or like a hate to lover, like rivals to lovers type thing, it doesn't check out as easily because they always say like they hate that person so much and they can't stand them. But like in the case that like she's, you know, she thinks he's very attractive and, you know, they have similar interests and hobbies and careers even, you know, like things like that make the whole thing much more believable. We need to talk about something that happened in this book. That this character, this main female character, January, is sitting there having this emotional breakdown. She's like gone out, like I guess like out on the beach part. I can't remember exactly like where she was, but like out on the waterfront, the beachy area. I don't know exactly like how close or how far, but she's out there, and then she has this like full on ugly cry like breakdown. We're getting this inner monologue of, you know, thoughts that are, you know, spiraling in her head. I was on a beautiful beach in a beautiful place, and I was alone. Worse, I wasn't even sure I'd ever stop being alone again. I'm not going to read the next line because it feels spoilery. I sat down in the sand, folded my legs to my chest, and rested my forehead against my knees, and I cried. I cried until my face was hot and red and soaking wet, and I would have kept crying if a seagull didn't poop on my head, but of course it did. But then it gets better. And so I stood and turned back to the path, only to find someone frozen in the middle of it, watching me ugly cry like Tom Hanks in Castaway. I was sitting here reading this, mind you, during nap time. Like the children are asleep. I'm sitting here dying. Just wait till you hear how Meg Ryan pronounces horses when she sings Sleigh Ride. I whispered to Gus, your life will be irrevocably changed. Oh my gosh, me and my sister joke about that part of that movie so much. Actually, my whole mom's side of the family. Oh my god. Oh my lord. So much just happened. Like, the reveals just keep going. Like, that was a reveal, but then literally I turn the page and there's like more. Oh, wow. There was just a scene that I really, really loved where
the characters, particularly one character, learned a lot from what was happening, and I think some things really clicked for them where they understand the other person a lot better. I love when there's a shift like that, where we saw her become more understanding of him, and him, I think, realizing that how he puts up his walls and deflects and his behavior patterns, they can have some growth in their relationship and as persons in and of themselves. If you're going into this looking for a schmexy read, this is not it. As I'm reading, I'm thinking about the fact that this is really such an interesting book because it is really, the author is taking these two different genres that you can tell they read and is meshing them together, both literally in the way that she's writing the book, but also within the narrative because of the plot in and of itself. Like a heavier or more hard-hitting romance without being, you know, it's not The Fault in Our Stars, but it's a more realistic hard-hitting. And that's, I think, something that I really enjoy about it, is the fact that it's more real. It's something that you see more in real life.
We had some tension kind of come in a way that I appreciated, because it wasn't like, typically I would expect a third act breakup within the last 50 pages or so, but we haven't had that. Okay, so it's been a hot minute since I did Beach Read, but I thought it would be a good idea to pop in and kind of round out the video. I didn't reapply my lipstick, whoops, whatever. So I just ate and then I took it off to eat and then whatever. So I read the highest rated romance on my TBR for this vlog, and that is Beach Read by Emily Henry. And it was a great time. I feel like this book is such a well-loved book because it is a book lover's story. The second thing that I think really resonates with people and why this is such a loved book, and that is the fact that it is genre blending in a phenomenal way. It is a romance at heart, but it covers deep things and it brings up questions and it allows you to consider more than just the romance. I love the fact that the characters did not separate themselves from their circumstances. Where they were at in the conversations that they were having, they reflected on themselves and on their personal experiences and lives and what they were going through at the time. I feel like we don't see enough of characters actually actively analyzing themselves constantly. We see, you know, in the third act breakup scenarios is usually when we're going to see that in a lot of contemporary books. I really love how well Emily Henry incorporated that throughout the story, because to me, that's something I feel like a lot of us tend to do, is try to be actively aware of ourselves and actively aware of how what we're talking about in a moment or in a specific conversation may be able to actually relate to our lives in some ways, and like how what we read may relate to us or how what we write relates to us. Seeing characters deal with things in a mature way and working through their problems, even if they have a little bit of a few moments where they make bad choices, they still actually are trying to actively be genuinely good people and genuinely good at communicating and genuinely improving themselves. Those are the main things that I feel like really made this book work so well. I do already own People We Meet on Vacation, and I just got Book Lovers the other day. Starting pretty strong. Starting to discover that if it's the right authors and the right style of adult romance, then it's like a no-brainer. So if you like Olivia Dade, try the Emily Henry, or if you like the Emily Henry, try the Olivia Dade. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day or night, whatever time it is for you. Make sure you hit the subscribe button to join the Bear Scouts and the notification bell down below so that you'll be notified every time I post a new video. I'll see you guys very, very soon with another one. Peace out, Bear Scouts.
Forget about your worries and your stress. I mean a bare necessity. That's why a bear can rest at ease with just the bare necessities of life. Yeah, with just the bare necessities of life.